A rather cranky elderly woman was caught shoplifting at a grocery store. From the moment of her arrest, she gave everyone a hard time, from the store manager to the security guard, and even the police officer who took her into custody. She criticized everyone involved at every step. When she appeared before the judge, he asked, "Ma'am, what did you steal?" With a defiant look, she replied, "Just a can of peaches." The judge asked, "Why did you steal it?" She huffed, "I was hungry and didn't have any money with me." The judge thought for a moment and then asked, "How many peaches were in the can?" She snapped back, "9. "Why does it matter?" The judge calmly said, "Because I'm going to sentence you to 9 days in jail, 1 day for each peach." Just as the judge was about to conclude, the woman's husband raised his hand and asked if he could say something. The judge nodded. "Yes, sir, go ahead." The husband said with a sigh, "Your Honor, she also took a can of peas." A middle-aged couple had just learned how to send and receive texts on their phones. The wife, feeling romantic, decided to send her husband a sweet message while she was out running errands. She texted, "If you are happy, send me your smile. If you are sad, send me your tears. If you are eating, send me a taste. If you are drinking, send me a sip. I love you." The husband replied, "I'm on the toilet. Please advise." A woman had just given birth to 7 babies all at once. Exhausted but determined, she got out of bed, walked straight to her husband, and, smack, slapped him across the face. Her husband, stunned, held his cheek. "What was that for?" She glared at him and said, "I told you that dog style wasn't a good idea. Now deal with it." Little Johnny had a habit of walking in on his parents at the most inopportune times. One day, he walked in on his mother while she was in the bathtub. He pointed to her lower abdomen and asked, "What's that big fuzzy patch?" His mother, trying to keep things simple, replied, "It's a bush." The next day, little Johnny walked in on his father while he was in the shower. He noticed something hanging between his father's legs and asked, "What's that big long thing?" His father, equally nonchalant, replied, "It's a snake." A few days later, little Johnny walked in on his mother in the bathtub again. This time, he pointed to her chest and asked, "What are those 2 baggy things hanging above your belly button?" His mother, sticking to the theme, said, "Those are headlights." A couple of weeks later, little Johnny walked in on his parents while they were being intimate. Without hesitation, he yelled, "Mom, turn on your headlights! The snake is crawling into your bush." It was a usual morning in Mrs. Robinson's classroom. Known for being kind yet strict, she often brought her baby to class when the babysitter canceled. During a lecture, the baby started crying. Mrs. Robinson, holding her baby in one arm, smiled at the class and said, "Let me feed him quickly. He'll grow up strong and become a doctor one day after drinking this milk." The class went silent for a moment. But then Jimmy, the notorious class clown, couldn't resist. He raised his hand with a smirk. "Ma'am," he said, "maybe share some with me too? I might not become a doctor, but I could at least open a pharmacy." On their wedding night, Bob and his new bride were getting comfortable when Bob hesitantly said, "Hey, how about you turn over?" His bride frowned and replied, "Why? We should stick to the usual way." Bob persisted, "Come on, let's try the other way." She crossed her arms and said, "No way, and how do you even know about this stuff?" Bob, scratching his head, muttered, "Well, back in college, some thugs once grabbed me, and let's just say I learned the hard way that they weren't interested in any regular approach." Little Johnny's class gets a new teacher. On her first Friday, she announces, "Every Friday I'll ask the class one difficult question. If anyone answers it correctly, they can take Monday off." The first Friday, she asks, "How many grains of sand are on the beach?" No one can answer. The second Friday, she asks, How many stars are in the sky? Again, nobody knows. The third Friday, she asks, how many buckets of water are in the river? Still no answer. So on Thursday evening, little Johnny hatches a plan. He paints 2 ping-pong balls black and brings them to school. When Friday comes, right before the quiz, he quietly rolls the 2 black balls across the classroom floor. All the kids burst into laughter. The teacher picks them up and, clearly annoyed, says, "All right, who's the comedian with the black balls?" Little Johnny jumps up and yells, "Bill Cosby! See you all on Tuesday!" 2 statues were standing in a park, one of a man with nothing on, the other a woman with nothing on. For over 100 years, they had faced each other across the walkway, frozen in time. One day, an angel descended from the sky. With a graceful wave of his hand, he brought both statues to life. The angel smiled and said, "As a reward for standing still through 100 blazing summers and freezing winters, you now have 30 minutes of life to do whatever you've always wished for most." They locked eyes. A spark lit between them. Without saying a word, they dashed behind the nearby bushes. The angel stood there listening to the giggling, the rustling, and the occasional ouch from behind the leaves. 15 minutes later, the 2 statues returned, red-faced, out of breath, and grinning like kids at recess. The angel checked his watch. "You still have 15 minutes left. Want to go again?" He looked at her and asked, "Shall we?" She nodded eagerly. "Oh yes, let's. But this time you hold the pigeon down, and I'll do the dropping on its head.